Yo, what's up, everybody? It's damn. That's right. My God, the camera's all blurry. Everything's going wrong, and that's exactly how I'm feeling about New World's PvP. I love it, but damn, that crap's pissing me off. So that's what this video is about: is New World PvP, the state of it, especially after the melee hatchet, all that kind of tweaking that's happened. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm just gonna have some nice footage playing, and we can kind of just talk about it while it plays up. So pretty much, if you guys haven't known, they've made some tweaks. One to the hatchet, which is it's a little troublesome, and then as well as like some secret changes, buffs, nerfs, whatever you want to call them, or debuffs or realignments, I guess, to the melee system. And pretty much what it seems like is the melees, they're not tracking how they used to track, and there's a lot of like, I think this is way easier to get out of. And I'm not tripping about the having it super sticky or anything like that. But the problem with it seems like, is especially in group activities, the bigger the group is the range, and the range in New World is starting to overtaken. One, because now you have the autolock feature, and this is the biggest struggle and the biggest annoyance I think New World's facing, is you pretty much have to play range. I'm not playing range. I end up going throwing hatchet just to see if it works. Honestly, that thing works half the time. But the problem with range is, if you have two people ranging, all they have to do is wait for you to dodge, and then they can have a free shot at a pretty sizable distance. Even if you're running just horizontal with them or around them, their balls or wherever they're shooting at you will still track to where you're getting hit at. So this is annoying, especially in outside of duels. It pretty much is unplayable because you have a bunch of people targeting, and they get free shots off every time they shoot. You only have about 2 to 3 dodges depending on your stamina build. So that means you have 2 times a dodge, and the rest are just going to be free hits. You can't block because it eats away stamina, and as well as you have to be able to block or to get out of the AoE effects. So it pretty much makes it where it's super troublesome. If you want to play melee, it's really hard to, especially in like the open world where they have pretty much an infinite amount of places to run and hide and climb over. It's like you can't, melee builds are becoming not as viable. And that kind of brings me to my next topic, is really like the influence races and things like that. If you haven't played them, one, they're super fun. But the problem with them, again, is it's heavily dependent on ranged players. And ranged players, I feel like, are getting a lot of ease of skill because of the autolock system, that it's making the melee build, it's harder to approach their the ranged people. And the biggest problem with this is because the ranged people still have a melee weapon. So the easiest counter is like, oh, well, you should have a ranged weapon too. But that's annoying because now you're forcing people to play a certain way, and that's never a good thing in a game. Especially in an MMO game where it's all about variety and classes, systems, and all this stuff. It's like if you're going against a musket rapier, and you just have a great axe and a sword shield, that's going to be a hard thing to push through, to be honest. Especially because a lot of the range attacks have good mobility. So that is kind of my whole spiel on it. I hope they end up fixing it or doing something. Oh my god, and don't even get me started on the blunderbuss. What is that? If you have multiple people running a blunderbuss, that thing is hit scan freaking degrees, bro. That thing's piecing you up from head to toe. And it's just, I think the biggest thing is it doesn't feel good to play against. Here I'm trying to make my way to him, burning up my stamina. And then half the time, like, your melee attacks that you need to be able to hit aren't seem like they're connecting how they should. So it's like the leaping lunge. It's like a 70, no, I'll probably say 50-50 shot. It's not going to hit, even if he just does like a little walk to the side. So it's like, I get it. I'm playing on controller, but it makes the game feel a little inconsistent at times, when I feel like the most consistent thing is honestly the range attacks, because you're so far away from it that it's easy, and the auto tracking is so good that it's easy to always guarantee those hits. And it's kind of removing a lot of the skill, especially if you have like IQ random 3 sometimes, and it's like, oh, we have all melee people versus 3 range people, and it's like the AoE effect they have to make you have to use a dodge to get out of the AoE, then burns your stamina, then you have to try to block the rest of the attack, they break you out of shield block and you're sitting there exhausted trying to get over to them while they're running around. So it just makes the whole meta a little bit annoying, especially when you get into OPR and bigger scale things, because you have people sitting on the outside, and if you're a melee build, you have to go and push in. So now you have a bunch of ranged people with guaranteed hits pretty much spamming down on you, and so it makes it hard if you're not an organized group to combat that. Obviously, if you're an organized group, you can have your delegates of ranged people to melee people and kind of coordinate attacks. But the point is if this game, it's hard to get a group that size to have an organized team like that. We're trying to build up our company, and it's even hard even there, because you never know when people are going to get on unless you have already a massive community coming in. It's a tough thing to crack. And that kind of brings me on to my second or third thing. I don't know what thing I'm on, bro, but I'm just speaking. My other one is the it's the group battles. It's again the massive PvP. I'm all for it. I think wars are cool. I think influence races are cool. I think OPR is pretty cool. But I think New World needs more smaller scale, because honestly, I think small scale is where the game shines the most, because you get to see your impact as an individual. In wars and stuff like that, it's honestly more of just like a giant group steamrolling over and clashing, where you don't really get to see your exact impact that you have on the battlefield. And I think that's why a lot of people don't want to play PvP. I think because they don't understand the courses and how to fight in a group, because either you're dueling, which playing 1v1 is way different than playing threes, then way different from playing open world or wars or OPR. And secondly, if you are doing those influence races and you're coming through and you're fighting against a giant group of people running through, that isn't really a lot of skill involved. There's nothing you can do to overcome that situation. So I think now you opt to be like, okay, well, I just won't put myself in that situation, which everyone has that choice. But if the PvP mode isn't getting delegated or isn't getting shown in a perfect light or a good light, you're gonna start messing up the people who might have liked PvP but just now don't play it because of their first experience. So with that being said, I think having more like 5v5, honestly I think like an 8 to 10 person game mode would be the ideal, just because again, you want to have it big enough to where you have structure and tactics, but you want to have it small enough to where it's not just a spam fest that everyone's sprinting in and they're just spamming. It's like doing an elite chess run. You're just running through. You don't really have to think about the combat. You're just fighting through. And I think New World's combat is one of the best in MMOs, because in those 1v1s, it is a lot of, it's like chess. You have to counter, you have to think about their moves, think about their play style, their combos that they've been using and showing you, and you can always cultivate an idea or a counter to overcome that opponent. I think one way to settle this is to space out objectives a little bit more. We have them together, it's easy for that big group to just move back and forth with no time delay. I think having it more spread out and maybe having little sub objectives here and there makes it a lot easier, because now you have to delegate who goes where. And a big group, if you travel in a big group, you won't win, because one mob going from objective to objective isn't fast enough than a couple, 5 people there, 6 people there, 4 people there, or whatever structure it is. So that's good. That's just my thoughts on PvP right now. I feel like it's in a weird state because you have to kind of play range, because I mean, you can see the Blood and Bust, it's easy to back up and just get free hits off because it's a range attack and you just have to auto lock. So it's just one of those things where it can get annoying being a melee player focus. On duels I think it's okay, but in bigger scale things, you feel like a massive disadvantage, because range is always an advantage. Range and melee versus all melee. It's just, this guy's moving crazy too. But yeah, let me know how you liking PvP right now. Is it something that you're enjoying? Is it something that's causing frustration? Or you're like, nah, everything's grand old for me. I'm a mixed bag. Sometimes it feels good, sometimes it doesn't. It could be a network thing, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's just one of those things. And also I'm playing on controller, so that could be a factor of it. But that's just my thoughts. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, just let me know how you're enjoying New World. With that being said, I'm gonna let this last round go ahead and play out. All you guys, stay easy and stay breezy. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.
incredible!